When the news broke about the level of child care service fraud by Somali nationals in Minnesota, the American people were rightly shocked and outraged. The loss to the federal government, meaning the loss to American taxpayers, is estimated to be at $9 billion or more. That estimate only covers what the U.S. government has discovered in one state, the state of Minnesota. There are also credible allegations that the Minnesota government knew about the fraud as early as 2011, and that Governor Walz and Mayor Frey not only were aware of the fraud as early as 2018 or 2019, but did nothing to stop it. Some of the individuals involved in the recent Minnesota fraud scandal were U.S. citizens of Somali descent, but there were also some Somali nationals who were not U.S. citizens. To date, the U.S. Department of Justice has charged 98 defendants in the Minnesota fraud-related cases, 85 of whom are of Somali descent. So 98 have been charged, 85 are of Somali descent. 64 have been convicted. The Department of Justice has also issued more than 1,750 subpoenas, executed more than 130 search warrants, and conducted more than 1,000 witness interviews. Sadly, as soon as the magnitude of the fraud was identified and amplified by an independent investigator, following an appropriate surge of DHS immigration resources into Minnesota, the mainstream media and the radical left immediately began to call the U.S. government's actions racist, claiming that the Trump administration was unlawfully targeting Somali nationals. Not surprisingly, the ACLU rushed out to sue the Trump administration for simply enforcing the immigration laws as written. But fraud is fraud, and this recent episode, unfortunately, appears to be just the tip of the iceberg. I expect to hear more as the Department of Justice continues its investigations into fraud, not only in Minnesota, but also in states like California. Recently, the Government Accountability Office estimated that the federal government loses between $233 billion and $521 billion annually due to fraud and improper payments. Let me say that again. $233 billion to $521 billion is lost every year due to fraud and improper payments of federal benefits and other public funds. Our national debt has surpassed $38 trillion and continues to climb. If the United States could recoup these hundreds of billions of dollars lost to fraud every year, we might actually have some hope of getting our fiscal situation on a sustainable trajectory. I imagine that the 1 in 4 American households who live paycheck to paycheck would love to have even a fraction of that money to pay down their bills, to buy groceries, and even treat their family to a dinner or a movie. Now, eliminating fraud is more than just a matter of fiscal solvency. It also directly affects the safety and security of American citizens. Much of the fraud is committed by aliens, many of them criminal aliens, and we don't know what they're doing with those stolen funds. In 2023, the Federation of American Immigration Reform, or FAIR, estimated that Medicaid lost approximately $8 billion in funding annually due to fraud attributable to illegal aliens. Similarly, FAIR estimated that the illegal aliens have obtained more than $3 billion in earned income tax credits, with the average filer receiving more than $4,000. Over the last 2 years, $700 million in cash, largely tied to Somali couriers, has been flown out of the Minneapolis airport via suitcase, according to DHS officials. DHS officials say this cash transfer has been occurring for close to a decade, but the practice has increased in recent years. There are two major problems with this type of large cash transfer. First, we don't know whether the source of this cash is from any federal, state, or local benefit program. And second, The money could be used to fund Somali terrorist organizations like Al-Shabaab. Taking cash out of the country is not necessarily illegal. Any individual departing the country with more than $10,000 in cash must file a customs declaration form about the amount of cash before they take off. The Somali couriers are, in fact, legally declaring the cash they're taking out of the country, ironically. From a fraud and national security perspective, the current customs form is not expansive enough to disclose the source of the cash these couriers are taking out of the country or the ultimate recipient of the cash. Later this week, I plan to introduce a bill to address this issue. This bill, called the Stop Somali Currency Airport Smuggling Through Hawala's Cash Fraud Act, or Stop Somali Cash Fraud Act, will strengthen the customs form for non-citizens only who are taking more than $10,000 in cash out of the country. This bill will require disclosure of whether the cash is from any federal, state, or local government contract or benefit, additional background information on the individual transporting the cash, and additional background information on the ultimate recipient of the cash. Most importantly, it will require filing the customs form 72 hours in advance, which will give Customs and Border Protection more time to fully vet the form before allowing non-citizens to leave the country with suitcases full of cash. In addition to those smuggling money out of the country to potentially supporting terrorists, those who commit fraud while staying in the country also pose a threat. President Trump's team at the White House has uncovered numerous examples of illegal aliens arrested for crimes who've also been receiving Medicaid. These individuals have been arrested for a variety of crimes, ranging from child abuse to domestic battery to burglary to murder. During deliberations for the working family tax cuts, which strengthened guardrails against illegal aliens receiving Medicaid, Democrats repeatedly assured Republicans that illegal aliens are already ineligible for Medicaid and that we are simply barking up the wrong tree.